I wanted to say a big thank you to our sponsor, Talent Insights. Talent Insights are Australia's leading data specialist recruitment business. They are experts in recruitment strategy and delivery for analytics and data teams. They are the go-to recruitment business for all your data roles in Australia, and they can help both with permanent hires and short-term project-focused data resources. I've used Talent Insights in the past, and I've always found them fantastic to work with. Visit them at talentinsights.com.au. Lots of new activity happening in data futurology. We're continually challenging ourselves to come up with new ways to create value for the community. We want to continue to bring you the topics that are relevant to organizations that are using and scaling AI. And we want to provide you use cases, challenges, new approaches, ways to overcome the resistance and the barriers in order to get value from these technologies. We have recently redone our website. It looks much better. Go and check it out. Tell us what you think. We wanted to make it easier for people to access the content that we'll be creating. And you'll see there in the events tab, all the events that are coming up, from data and AI in finance to our event on MLOps, to looking at multi-cloud strategies, the impact of DevOps into the data analytics world. Please continue to provide us suggestions with the topics that you want to hear about, and we will make sure that we put those events together for the community. We're doing this for the community, so thank you so much for your support, and I hope you continue to enjoy the content that we're producing. We do have a related question to one of your comments there, a question from Rajiv. Hey, Rajiv. He says, Steve, how do you think job losses consequent to introducing robots and AI into industries can be managed together with AI innovation? So as in, can AI innovation help us in any way with the job losses from AI and robotics and automation coming in?
So the reality is AI is going to take more jobs than it generates, based on my own personal opinion. That's the reality. I don't think that it's going to be able to generate more jobs than it's taking. But on the other hand, because of all the other technologies going forward, there would be jobs that we have never heard of. You know, like I don't know, like these NFT is just going super crazy these days. I don't know if it's a bubble, it's a real thing. But apart from that, lots of people are involved into making these, art or whatever pieces that they are selling on NFTs. There wasn't such a thing available, right? A friend of mine just resigned from a very, very high-paid Microsoft role to become an NFT artist.
Wow.
So how do you define that? You know, that's like, I know AI is taking a lot of jobs, but then this is not something that AI generated. But I think technology takes jobs and generates more. Apart from that, you need social media. We have a lot of social media creators, influencers. They're getting paid because of this. And that's the reality, how human will figure out how to survive and how to come up with better ways to cope with these trends of disruptions.
Right. Yeah, it's so interesting because I think that jobs in general, they're there to either solve a problem or sort of entertain, and we can sort of put some of the arts in under that banner as well, in terms of like giving you a nice feeling. And both of those things will continue for as long as there is humanity, because as we get used to the rising standards of living that is in part being brought and accelerated by AI, our expectations continue to rise. So we will have like new problems that we'll want them to be solved, and we'll have new avenues where we want to get our entertainment and our feel good that culture and art gives us. So I think those two will continue to be avenues where people will be able to like definitely comfortably live, generate an income, and express their personality, who they are. And yeah, then that is in part brought by AI. So we've had over 90% of people answer the poll. So I'll close the poll and we can have a look at the results. I'll share the results now. So everyone should be able to see the poll on their screen. So we'll go one question at a time, and we'll have a few comments about them. So first question was, do you find it difficult to learn or upskill in data science? 56% of people said no. I guess it shows the maybe the audience. 44% of people said yes. And I think, yeah, it's such a broad and diverse field with almost endless applications and so many areas to improve. So some people definitely find it challenging. What is your perspective, Steve? What do you think about this question?
I'm with you on this one as well. It's a very fast evolving, I guess, role in general, and a topic in general that the pace is super fast. That some people might find it a little bit difficult to stay on track and stay on top of the latest trend. And because of the complexity and all the stuff that it related, the requirements of being a data scientist, it's also not easy to find the right pathway to become a one.
Yes,
it's evolving. It is pretty new. I guess like maybe around 10 years that has been coined into something that we call it as a role. A lot of people were doing similar stuff, but they were called totally different titles. So that's why it makes it not very straightforward. It's just like if you want to be a GP, probably it's a lot more straightforward to understand what is needed to go through the steps. But then if you say the same about data science, it's not as straightforward. Still, the boundaries of what is exactly data science is something that people might have a debate. And there are lots of specializations coming out of this data science or data professionals that they also have a lot of overlaps and blurry line between them. And that makes it complex.
Right. So, and what do you think the field and particularly the specializations, what do you think they will look like in the future? Where do you think we're heading from that perspective?
That's a very complex one because, as I say, it's very quickly evolving. And what I would say probably let's say in 5 years, we would see the both ends of this spectrum, which we would have some generalists using a lot of platforms deliver something very quickly for maybe startups, POC, MVPs. And then we are going to see a lot of specializations and specialized people working in this field in a bigger organizations and on more of a research kind of projects to push this topic forward. It will be probably like, for example, if you want to have a website right now, you can have a website in Wix, for example, super quickly, just make something work without understanding coding, right? At the end of the spectrum, a web application is right now super complex, and you need to have a lot of different skills to build one to deliver really good value to your audience.
Man, that is great. And I totally agree with you. I think that as more and more people learn about AI, and there's sort of more automation about AI in the sense of platforms, that the baseline of what understanding of AI and the baseline of AI accessibility to do something, that's going to keep rising, get sort of more and more people are going to be able to more easily be able to apply it to their problems. And then so that's kind of like in general organizations and business people in general. And I think from there in our field, whatever that's going to be called or whatever that's going to be, I think just sort of one dude's opinion, like I think that there's going to be two broad big camps. One's going to be the advanced AI plus technology. camp where it's kind of like the machine learning engineering. We're going to have the data engineers and kind of like that evolving thread that obviously it's a vein that's kind of, I think, continue to specialize in terms of the AI side and the technology side. And then the other part is what you also mentioned, domain knowledge plus AI. And that's where we're going to have like deep experts in fields like medical doctor, as you mentioned. Like that's a good example, like a medical doctor that becomes a data scientist, and then having that combined knowledge in one brain. I think that's going to be the next or the other part, where you have kind of like maybe like supply chain specialist or plane scheduling specialist that will learn AI and be able to apply it to their domain. And we'll, I think we'll have the kind of like the two camps, which will be interesting. As you were talking, we've had a number of questions come in, so I might take them in the order that they came in. So the first one says, I'm a 35-year-old business intelligence consultant. I find AI and machine learning and data science incredibly interesting. Great. They say, I'm really passionate about learning the general ideas. Unfortunately, I don't have a solid maths background. If I want to solve complex business problems and really make an impact, is it worthwhile going back to learn the foundations of maths, or should I focus on the softer skills I already have? Great question. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah. So first of all, a data professional kind of as a whole needs different skills. So you can pick and choose what particular role you're interested, and you can follow that. Some of them need a lot of heavy math and stats. Some of them might not. So that's something that we don't have a one size fits all, right? Mm-hmm. For those who want to transition into data science and AI, I would definitely say you do need certain skills to start learning data science. Mm-hmm. Programming is a must. Like, I don't know if you will be able, like in 10 years, be a data scientist without programming. But right now, I cannot see such a thing happen. Math and stats are important from two different perspectives. One, understanding machine learning algorithm, understanding the shortcomings and how things are happening. It's like, it's not that kind of black box that we think it is, but it is not. So that's also something that we need to talk about. But at the end of the day, you need math and stats to understand machine learning and also understand how to do analytics on data. Data sets are not as straightforward as you can see, like the iris data sets or things that are available on different open data sets available on online. It's more complex. The business is more complex. The results need a lot of experiment and validations, and you need that kind of foundation to actually understand more about your data as well. So yeah, I don't think there is any way to bypass these two main skills. But definitely some of the roles that are more entry level or maybe less stats heavy might be interesting to you.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's really good advice. Next question was from Imad about universal basic income. So he says, what are your thoughts about universal basic income? Do you think it's inevitable due to AI? Great question.
That's a great question. So
isn't it?
We actually, I was part of a panel discussion a week ago on the largest Chinese AI conference, and we had a panelist who was a philosopher, and I would have said he's the best one to answer this, but I would say just as a general rule of thumb, I don't think it's possible to have that kind of solution because of having AI. I know the automation is going to take a lot of jobs, but I also believe that governments can come up with some sort of upskill, national level upskill and reskilling platforms, where actually make people to deliver value to the society, rather than feeling that since it's automated, I just need to just get some sort of salary benefit to just live my life without doing anything. I don't believe into making us as a human less, I guess, working less and being less involved with the social projects. I think working has a lot of impact in our I guess psychological safety, and it will give us some sort of being relevant and being necessarily being impactful for the society to see that our contribution is making a difference. So definitely my answer would be no for this one.
I love that answer, man. That is great. I love how considered it is, and yeah, I totally agree. There's already governments around the world that are trialing different forms of universal basic income, and they, at least from my understanding, it seems like the most successful ones are the ones where they're in line with what you just said, Steve, as in like they're encouraging their citizens to upskill in an area that the country needs those skills, and they're getting essentially paid and assisted to learn and to upskill. And we will, and yeah, I love what you said about, feeling useful, feeling like you're making a contribution that is so core and fundamental to us as humans and in our nature, that I think we'll always need to do that, to have that. And that forms of UBI will be around helping people move into areas that are needed in terms of skill set, if there's not a path that they're kind of like forging for themselves. There might be obviously anything under the sun as we continue to get more advanced and have more opportunities. So man, I love your answer. It's great. We had a question from Jason that says, I am halfway through my Master's of Data Science course. Nice. He says, how difficult is it to break into the field, even with a master's? And he says, I have a background in teaching and arts. Oh, really nice.
That's an awesome combination. So, so as you mentioned, you're halfway through your data science course. So you're pretty much there. The most important thing is the drive to start it and to continue the learning, because this particular field is super quickly changing, and we exactly don't know how it's going to end up, but we know that in probably 2 or 3 years, you would need to work with a lot of platforms, and you will need to have a lot of experience leveraging cloud features and combining different, I guess, automated engines and coding and all together. So that's what is happening. If you're at university learning data science, you're going to get a lot of soft skills and technical skills at the same time. But the problem is, unfortunately, universities are not going to make you ready to enter a role as a data scientist, because just the nature, as I said, the nature of the topic is something that universities are far behind the real need of the industry. So I encourage you, at the same time that you are doing your tertiary courses, start learning the latest, courses on different platforms. There are lots of free resources out there. I wouldn't say that you need to pay a lot to learn these skills, but you definitely need to be hands-on before entering into these roles. That's a dilemma, kind of. You would see a lot of these advertisements asking for a couple of years of experience as an entry role to to a data science role, which is like, how can I even have it for the entry role, right? So I would say internship is your best gateway into one of these entry roles.
Awesome advice, man. You're very considered in your answers and very thorough. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure the audience does too. So thank you. We had a question from Nakul. Hey, mate. He says, this is more related to ACS/Australia. And the question is, when do you foresee ACS in Australia recognizing data science/AI accreditations? For instance, data scientists have broader skills and still have to go through other accreditations like software engineer, business analyst, etc. I think it's a good question. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So first of all, I would like to say that I'm on my personal capacity here, not representing the organization on an official formal level, but I would just say that the good news for everyone that is in data science and AI, ACS is kind of on a way to recognize all of these, different roles as a technical profession. And if you're going to be accredited, definitely ACS is the right place for the data scientists to get accredited. So I'm also on an advisory panel and also accreditation at ACS, accrediting data science courses in Australia. So I just recently have gone through a couple of courses that wanted to get approved by ACS, and we are on a way to have the first iteration of data professional frameworks, skill assessment frameworks to get released by ACS very soon. So keep an eye. It is happening.
That's awesome. Great. And we have a question from Rajiv asking about innovation in developing countries. So he says, what about AI innovation in developing countries where IT industry, including the internet, may not be as advanced? Do you believe that there's opportunities in the AI space in those countries?
So AI is a global kind of phenomenon, and I would say it has application in each and every field. It will definitely have a positive impact in developing countries or the ones that are a little bit behind the curve. But what I'm saying here is that not necessarily it needs to start from those countries. They can adopt and leverage the outcomes from the other countries, and that's something that not so difficult to apply. As you can see, we are kind of pretty much similar and different, but the data is available based on our interaction with different platforms, and that can be leveraged to make the AI relevant to each country. From the bias and ethical perspective, that is still something that we need to be very careful because of the having less data available from underrepresented groups and people with different socioeconomic background might not be as beneficial from the AI applications, and that's why we need to have these AI ethic frameworks in the place. But as I just said, at the end of the day, it can start from anywhere. Like industrial countries can start the change of the way that we're leveraging AI, and the others can adopt. I can say that this is going to be a problem for the less developed countries in future for just leveraging what has been produced. And that's why the competition is fierce, and all these superpowers are kind of thinking about leveraging AI in a very competitive manner that sometimes it feels like it is another arm race or AI race happening. And I hope that will not impact, humanity in a negative way. And we all are responsible for that particular leverage of AI to, like a kind of an AI arm race usage. I don't want to go into too much detail of making people afraid of the AI, but there might be some implications that we are not very interested into.
Yeah, and in a way, like it's up to all of us to make sure that we're using this technology and this tool for as most positive impact as we can. And I think, like with any innovation that humanity has created, there's always two sides, and that can be said of when we discovered fire, when we started making metal, and definitely can be said with AI. There's both positive and negative ways to use this. So we gotta all make sure that we're using as much of the positive sides as we can. So I love that. I might take us. I know we have about 5 minutes left, so I might take us to the rest of the poll questions. So we did question 1, and question 2 is: have you participated in a hackathon? And most people, 60% of people said no. 40% of people said yes. We briefly spoke about the benefits that you mentioned of the hackathon, of getting hands-on experience and maybe even be able to create a startup off the back of that from the hackathons that you've been running and hosting, Steve. Any other thoughts or comments on hackathons?
Yeah, I would just definitely say that quickly mention that hackathons are the best quick way to get to know people, kind of maybe find your future co-founder, maybe find a lifelong kind of friends who are sharing the same principles with you. And this is a good way to actually learn from others as well, because there are usually a lot of mentors and senior professionals in the hackathons to help you deliver your solution. And it's super quick during a weekend. 48 hours, 72 hours, you will need to iterate something close to the real world problem and deliver some results. It's a really good challenge for people who are up to it.
Man, that is awesome. I completely agree and encourage people to participate in hackathons. Question 3 was: have you done any work or projects in the data or AI ethics space? And it was almost 50-50. So 52% of people said no, and 48% of people said yes. I think that's really good. What do you think, Steve?
That's awesome. Because ethics, like doing a project in AI ethics, is not something that you would see a lot around. Now, this is more of a subject as a research subject at this point, and or different organizations are helping and trying to come up with some process, some applications, and a tangible way to measure this, to apply this. It is still not as concrete and as tangible as we might think it is. So I will just, I'm super excited to hear how they are involved and how they're making it move forward. But that's great anyway, that we are thinking about it, and we're trying to be mindful of these frameworks when we're even working with different projects.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of the answers would have come in from, I think, is that people doing a project and having ethical, either an ethical framework or ethical considerations in their data science projects, which is awesome to see. So great. Yeah. Question 4 was, do you think personal branding is important for data scientists? Overwhelmingly, yes. 88% of people said yes. What do you think?
100%. I would say 100%. It is important, not for data scientists, for any professional individual that are living in 2021. We are all connected in a global level. It is not possible anymore to meet and greet everyone face to face. So you need to have some sort of digital identity, social media presence to get known and to participate in sort of different events. And, this is something that 100% will change your career. You will get noticed more. You would have more opportunities to do whatever you like. That's the bottom line of it, right? So I can give you some first-hand information about myself. Like, I started being super active on social media 3 years ago. It's not very long time. Just 3 years ago when I started it, I didn't know exactly what I want from this, but I knew that I want to help. So I started by sharing some educational material. So that was it. And it went super crazy viral at that time, like 3 or 4 years ago, where still data science was something that people were having a lot of questions about the pathways and the learning materials. But what happened is, after that, because of that, relationship that I kind of started with the global leaders of the world, right now I'm connected with those people that they are my kind of idols and heroes in data science and technical world. They're C-levels of different companies. They're the godfathers of data science, whatever you name them. And it's very easy right now for me to reach out and have a conversation with a lot of them where it was not possible. It just opens a lot of doors for you, right? If you just want to have a job, that's still something that you will get it from having these kind of, activities and building your own brand to get known. You never know how and when you're going to use this. That's the interesting part of it. And your brand is going to be helpful when you are not actually actively needing it. So what is happening is, like, today you need to start it and you need to build this asset in the long term. Don't wait until you absolutely need to have a voice. A lot of entrepreneurs and CEOs are reaching out to me. They want some golden nuggets of, like, how can we have like a couple of 100,000 followers within a week or month, and there is no answer. Like, there's no magic, right? There's just, you need to wait 4 years, and that's not something they can afford. They wanted to have it yesterday. So that's just a quick one.
Man, I love it. I love the passion and the clarity of the thought, but also showing people the benefits and that they're unexpected and broad ranging. And I love that you encourage everyone to do that. I know that we're up against time. Last question from the poll is, how do you use social media for data science? Most people said to keep up with the industry. One of the options was for memes, and I thought that one was going to win, actually. But so we had, the most popular was to keep up with the industry, and then second most popular to follow leaders in the space, obviously, as Steve Nouri. What do you think, mate?
I think memes are funny part of it, and we all want to take some time out of the very strict kind of our job environment to be a little bit having a little bit fun with the stuff that we are working on. But the major thing for me also is just keeping up with the latest trend. It's just super easy for me to scroll on LinkedIn and see what's happening in the whole world without needing to just go to all these news platforms to read very long articles.
I love it. That's great. Thank you, mate. Thank you so much for coming on the show, for sharing. As we have some comments here, they say, from Saurabh, he said, really informative. Thanks for having Steve on to share his wealth of knowledge with us. Mate, I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for your insights, for sharing your perspectives, for your considered answers. I love the way that you see the world and how you're helping us get there every day with your extraordinary efforts.
Thank you very much, Felipe, for having me. And thank you very much for the participants to tuning in.
Thank you so much for everyone. Thank you so much for your feedback. People saying really interesting, great hosting, great conversation in the AI space, eye-opening and insightful, really good information, loving the conversation. Kirsten says that she loved the learning by doing and getting people excited about the impact and applications. So this has been awesome. Thank you so much for everyone for coming in, making the time. Thank you again, Steve. For all the audience, come back next week, same time, 8:30 on Friday. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope that you got a lot out of this discussion. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel so more people can find out about the challenges that leaders have in the analytics and AI space. And that's what we're trying to share in Data Futurology. So please like and subscribe. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please tell your friends. Thank you so much.